Hello guys and welcome back to another video. My name is Tweakified and in today's video we're going to have a look at some checkpoints and how we're going to make them save in our leader stats at the top right. This is really actually quite hard to do and it's quite a complex feature that not a lot of games have, so really make your game show out in front of other Obby games. As you can see, once I go to the second checkpoint, my save number increases, and if I reset, once I reset, I'll be teleported to the second stage at the correct orientation. Now it's actually a really premium feature that not many games have, especially the orientation, and it's also got extra anti-exploit features in there that should stop people exploits from being able to change the stage jumper up here and then teleporting to the final stage. Anyway, let's get straight into it. Before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. If you need any help with any of these scripts, then follow our Discord server, just join and we'll be able to help you straight away. And obviously, if you don't want to do the scripts and write it all down, then you should just be able to join Discord server, look in the paste bin and it's all in there. Also, we have Twitter, so yeah, get some news and updates in there. Anyway, straight into it. Okay, so the first thing we need to do inside our studio world is we need to make our actual checkpoints. I'm guessing your games are much better than mine. We have lots of Obby stages and all of that. However, we need to make some special checkpoints to get us to work. So we need to workspace and we're going to insert a new folder and we're just going to call it checkpoints. So all of your checkpoints are going to be stored inside this folder. Let's go and insert a part and let's make it into some sort of checkpoint. Now, I'm hoping that yours will look better than this. However, just a demonstration, I'm gonna make mine look interesting. So a quick demonstration. Changing the face here. Enlarging the size. Okay, so there's a number 1. Let's give it some colour. Something like that. That looks way too bright. Okay, let's change this colour. That'll do. Okay, so stage 1, it looks something like that. I'm hoping your one will look better than this. However, just as a demonstration, this is what my one's going to look like. Okay, you want to name this stage 1. So this is your first stage, stage 1. And then you want to duplicate this with Control, and then D. How many stages you want? This is your second stage. Then you're going to rename this stage 2. And then you're going to change the number of this to be number 2. I'm guessing you probably also want to change the colour. See how easy this is? All we're doing right now is we're making the stages. So let's say we've got, I don't know, 3 stages. Again, you guessed it, rename the stage, change the number, that's way too bright. There we go, so there are 3 stages there. Hey, you want to put this all inside the checkpoints folder in the workspace, and that's where they're going to be. So all your stages need to be in the checkpoints folder right there. And the next thing you need to do is you need to go to Server, Script, Service, and you need to insert a new script named Checkpoints. So we've got in our workspace, we've got all of the checkpoints, and in the Server, Script, Service, we've got our script. And inside the script, we need to insert the following code. Now this is quite a long script, so you need to be careful and get everything right. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to insert our services, and this is the player service and the, what am I talking about? Just one service today, and it's the player service. The next thing we need to do is we need to get all our checkpoints folder. So you know that the folder we just made in Workspace, we're going to have to get that folder. And it is called Checkpoints. The next thing to do, we need to set some variables for later on in the script. Now, if you're an OG Neon Blocks fan and watch all our videos, then I'm sure you have seen the setup before of the in-game startup players. Basically, I've explained before, Roblox is weird in the fact that a player can join before all the scripts are loaded in the game. This script might not be fully loaded and operational by the time that the player joins the game. That means that this checkpoint system won't pick up that there's a new player joined by the time that they've, it's loaded, because the player's already joined. Which means we have to get all the players who are already in the game when the script loads before, and then write with them as well. It's mainly in the case if you have a big game, let's say you've got loads of scripts, and you've got loads of scripts, then obviously it takes a while for them to load. Okay, so now what we've done here is I was talking before about the NT exploit and how it's going to work. Basically, the players can change, the actual players, the client can change that leader stats value at the top right. You know, it says stage and it says the current stage. They can change that and it will actually affect the server, which is this. So we don't want to read from that. What we're going to do is we're going to read from our server, our server array, current stage, and we get it all from there. You don't have to know all this, it's just, for people who do understand. What we're going to do in this function here is basically saying we're getting their current stage, which is going to be here, and then what we're going to do is we're going to teleport the player to that stage. Again, I've already mentioned that if you don't want to write out all the scripts, then it is all available in our Discord server. It'd really be helpful if you join, and it would also, help the channel out. What is yours? Snakes. Hey, there we go. And now this is quite a long line of code. This is where we're teleporting the player to the part. I can't spell, sorry guys. So what we're doing is we're getting the position of the checkpoint. We're turning that into a C frame. A C frame allows us to set angles as well as positions. So that's how we're going to do that special angle thing that I talked to you about in the intro. Also, obviously you don't want the player teleporting in the centre of the checkpoint, so you're going to raise the players up by 3 studs. So hopefully it'll be enough to stop them glitching out and spawning inside the checkpoint. And it's that angle thing that I talked to you about. We're going to get C-frame.angles, and this is where it gets complicated. So we only want to move by the center angle. So you have the X, Y, and Z. So we only want to move by the center one. Math.rad. That's the math function. And then we want to get the checkpoint orientation. If I can spell orientation, it's be interesting. .y. So we're getting their Y value of the orientation. And then we're adding that to 90. Let me just check if I've got that right. No, I need to add 0. I believe I've got that right. Obviously we'll check it at the end. It's quite a little complex function, that one. The next thing that we need to do is we're going to have to go and get this function is going to be whenever a player joins the game, it's going to run. I'm going to change the current stage to be 1. I really can't, I'm sorry about my slow typing. So I'm always so slow in videos. I'm not really this slow. Okay. So this is where we're setting that leader stats folder at the top left of the screen, as I talked to you about before. Again, the client, the player, they can change this if they've got exploits, so it's really important that we don't actually read from this value, because otherwise they can do things like teleport to the end of your obby, and that's really not very good. That's what we're reading from this instead, and the players can't actually read from that. Thus they can read from it, but they can't actually change that. So if the players are already joined, this script is really slow to get started. They might already have a character, which means we're going to see if they've already got a character by doing this. And they've got a character, then run that character function, and that's getting their player and their temp char value and chucking it in there. Now if they die and they've got a new character, then we're going to have to get that as well and teleport them to the stage. And that's done by this function. Okay, that's the end of that function. Now as again, I've already explained at the start of the script bit, we're doing that special little the thing. Let's say if the script is really slow to launch, then it runs this function here and it gets all the players inside the game. What am I talking about? Basically it's all the players inside the game and then runs this function with them. I really can't speak. As a player leaves the game and they rejoin the game, we don't want them having the current stage that they already had. If you guys do want that and make it so it saves, then we're going to do a separate video, hopefully after this one, explaining how you do saving, and then also we might do a follow-up video after that explaining how you do something like a skip stage button where they have to pay and then they can skip the stage. Again, it's an extremely premium feature, so you won't get that on a good system on any other YouTube video. Welcome to Neon Blocks Games, by the way. Like and subscribe. Okay. Now what we're doing here is basically getting all that checkpoints in this folder here. And if a player touches them, we're going to see if they are able to move up to that checkpoint, and if they are, then we're going to change that checkpoint's value. So we're getting all the checkpoints in the game, and we run this. First of all, we're going to get the actual checkpoint number, and you can remember we set all the checkpoints number to be the actual name of the part, 1, 2, and 3. So what we're doing is we're getting the name of the part and setting up to be that. Now when someone touches that checkpoint, this is going to run. Well, hang on a minute, what if it's not a player that touches the checkpoint? What if it's a random part? We're going to have to check for that as well. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to get the part that hit it, and we're going to get the character. So let's say normally if something hit it, it'll be a particular part that hit it. Let's say your arm hit it or your leg hit it. So we need to get that part. That's what's here, and then we're getting the actual character itself, which is here. Now a good indication to see if it's actually a indication to see if it's actually a humanoid, which is what your actual player is, a humanoid. We're going to see if it's got, a humanoid value. If it does, then it's going to continue the script. If not, then it's going to stop there. Oh, hang on a minute. Let's say if your player's dead. Let's say literally at the last second, it's the player's died and they've touched the checkpoint. What do we do then? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to not let them go past. Again, if you don't want this feature, then you can just delete this line of code there. Now the final check we're going to do to see if they're actually a player, we're going to get their player from the character, and obviously if the player links the character, then they're definitely, you know, a player, and they're running around, which is what we want. That's the final check that we're going to do, but there's one more actually. It's called a debounce. Let's say if someone's sitting on your checkpoint and running around, then this is going to run at each time, and it's going to really lag out the, you know, it's going to glitch out the game. It's going to, you know, be a bit laggy. So what we're going to do is we're going to run what's known as a debounce system. So basically, it only allows someone to move up per stage every 1 second, which also means, let's say someone has a teleportation exploit and goes all the way to the end, they have to wait for each stage a second. Again, it's not particularly a very good anti-exploit, however, it is slightly better, you know what I mean? It's slight delayed. Basically what we're saying here is that, I can't speak. Let's say if, okay, basically this value here is going to be a number, the time number. Let's say it'll be like, let's say 1800. It'll be a time value, which is it's a weird number. Let me get this current one. So today's current time, recording this video, is that. So that's how many seconds it's been passed. It's a certain date. I think it's something like 1970, the 1st of January, something like that. It's how many seconds have passed since that date. So basically what we're saying is if that second value plus 1 is more than the current one, then they can go past. Basically saying, you know, they gotta wait a second. So it's so hard to explain something and get someone who, you know, doesn't know everything about the game or development to understand. So make sure to comment if any of this explanation is helpful. I really hope it is. So what we're doing here is we're getting the temp current stage, the current stage of the player. Yeah, I really can't type, wow. And this is the interesting bit. So basically, here we're saying, we're getting the current stage, and if the current stage is equal to the stage number, let's say they touch stage checkpoint number 2, then it'll be 2, minus 1, and it runs it. So let's say, if they're on the first stage and they're trying to get to the second stage, then it'll be if 1 equals 2, so they press the second stage, minus 1, which is 1, then it lets them run through. Basically, if someone cheats and they teleport to the final stage, then it won't let them pass. They'll have to go to each individual stage. To stop this, you'd have to add an anti-teleport. That's not included in this script, but it's definitely a safety feature for stopping people from teleporting to the very end. Now we're doing here, we're changing like current stage value. I thought my studio's broken, it just should have appeared. But anyway. Now we're updating that leader stats value. Again, we only want to write to that value, we never want to read from it, because the client can change it, the player can change it if they've got exploits. I.e. if we then teleport to a player to that stage, then you know it could be an exploited value. Then we're just updating that leaves that value, that stage number there. Now what we're doing here is we're getting all the players who are in the game when the script loads fully. And we're running that new per function with them. Now after this whole script is run, then we want to delete that function completely, because otherwise, let's say a player joins and it runs this for them, that they join before the script runs, and this runs to them, and they leave the game and join back again, then it won't run this. It is weird, but it won't run this system with them. So we have to clear the value afterwards. Anyway, that's the end of this script. Let's go and test it real quickly. Why is this slow? Roblox Studio's a bit slow today. Wow. Oh, we've got a small error. That's because I spelt something wrong, as you can see. No big issue. I spelt first wrong. Let's try again. Perfect. We're loaded straight in. And see, we go to the second stage, and then we can also go to the third stage. And if we reset, it teleports us there, the player to the third stage. As expected, everything works perfectly. Again, if you want this to all save, let's say the player leaves the game and then rejoins it, and they want their stage to still be 3 when they leave, when they rejoin, then there'll be soon there'll be another follow-up video on this explaining how to do that with a script. And if you want a skip stage button when the user has to pay for Robux, then there'll also be an add-on for that as well. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Make sure to have a look at our other videos, they're really useful. Again, make sure to look at our Discord server if you want to support with this script, or just anything in general. Notice if you've got an issue with another script, we'll be more than happy to help you with that. And yeah, like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.